Right, so this is second blog. This one's about the stereo mixes, the BBC and Flash mixes. Yeah, so we'll start with the BBC first. First thing that was done was the video that received the commercial type video. Was there was a few extra. It was sort of edited, but the video wasn't edited. There was things put on before the video to make it a bit longer. So basically, there was a minute and a half of a colour test card put on, a minute and a half. So the first minute and a half of the newly edited video is a minute and a half of a colour test card. This is because of what's recommended in 4.5 of the technical standards for delivery of television programs to the BBC. So a minute and a half, 90 seconds of, it states EBU bars. In fact, what's used is it's these, which are a SMPTE bar, which is the SMPTE. Yeah, the SMPTE bars. In fact, what we should have had with the EBU bars, which are these, but it was Mr. Richard Wheelband who made the video, and he was kind enough to give it to me, so I'm not going to complain, not when we're concentrating on the audio version more. So that's a little bit about that. All the links that I'm going to show on this iPad I'll post in the comments below. So yes, that's that. So yeah, so then after the EBU bars or the colour test card, should I say, not the EBU bars. There's 30 seconds of black, really. There should be 27 seconds of an ident clock, a clock ticking with a lot of information about program ID, program title, episode number, so on and so forth. But we weren't able to get hold of one of them unless we paid for it. So that was unfortunately. So yeah, so there's 2 minutes. There was 2 minutes of additional the colour test bars, and just 30 seconds of them black put on before the video, and then this was imported into Logic. Some of the Logic settings were changed. The project that was created was music for movies, I think, template type thing. So which was automatically set to 48 kilohertz. Some of the settings were modified. So in the settings section, synchronization, the frame rate was set to 25. The bar position 1 plays at SMPTE 9 hours, 58 minutes, 0 seconds and 0 frames. Again, this is in accordance with the BBC delivery guide, as highlighted in section 4.5, if that can be seen, probably not. Again, I'll post a link at the bottom. And then also in the settings and the video section, the movie start time was changed to 9 hours, 58 minutes, 0 seconds and 0 frames. And then that was the movie imported into Logic. Next, some lineup tones were added to the video, a minute and a half, synchronized with the colour test bars. These are, again, what is requested in the BBC delivery guide, the 3.1.1 stereo lineup tones. All stereo tracks must be used EBU 1 kilohertz tone, left ident. All tones must be silent audio, free of distortion and phase coherent. Quote, digital audio reference level is defined as 18 dB below the maximum coding value as per the EBU recommended practice. Again, another quote. So a bit more research was done on it. Found the EBU Tech, that can be seen, EBU Tech 3304 multi-channel lineup tones. Page 5 of that, section 2.1, should I say, is 2-channel audio identification. So then what that states is that on the right channel, a kilohertz tone is used at minus 18 dBFS. It's continuous for the minute and a half. the left channel is again a kHz tone, but every 3 seconds there's 2.5 milliseconds of silence. So that provides the identification for the left channel. She's also a point that was sort of reiterated, if that's the right word. Reiterated, I think it's the one. I don't know. I'm gonna get a dictionary of that. Reiterated.
Reiterated.
Yeah, reiterated. My bad. So, not reiterated, reiterated. So a point that was reiterated with that was originally it was done by creating the test tones at the correct levels, and then putting them each on a separate channel, and then panning them left and right. But then the pan law adds the 3 dB to them, so they actually become louder. So that wouldn't have been right. It would have been obviously an increase in sound. So that was just amended by altering the output from each channel from stereo to, for the left channel, output 1, for the right channel, output 2, and then that would output at minus 18 dBFS, and there'd be no increase in volume. Logic settings were done. So on to the stereo audio level requirements. Again, in the BBC technical document 3.1, look at 3.1.2, the stereo audio levels and measurements. Stereo program audio levels currently. So we're looking at using we're using a peak program meter to measure the levels of the audio. Let's say here, it states that the maximum or peak program level must never exceed 18 dBs above the program's reference level. The following programs are measured with a BBQ, and then there's some examples. All of the examples given, peak no more than 6 on the ppm meter. I better point that out actually. So again, I'll post another link, but just a sort of a graph there of a comparison between various meters used to measure the audio. So it states that 0 dBu, which is 0 dBFS, on a ppm meter is 4, and then each increase or decrease is an increase or decrease of 4 dBFS. So 4 is minus 18, 5 is minus 14, 6 is minus 10, 7 minus 6. So hopefully that's that. So with the ppm meter, looked for a few references. Got a good one with, an interesting one with Doctor Who, a typical BBC program. Used Handbrake to extract part of it from a DVD, and then imported it into Logic. Used the ppm meter to measure it. That actually peaks at 7. So it's 4 dB higher than anything that's stated in the tech manual. But then it does state the maximum or peak program level must never exceed 18 dBs above the program's reference level. So whether their reference level is 5, so minus 14 dBFS, and then they're peaking at 7, so what's that? Yeah, so minus 6 dBFS. I think a bit more investigation will have to be used to find that out. So that was a reference, and then the PP the PPM meter, sorry, that we used was a PPM emulator by Z-Plane, which gives you various options for how you can view it. So the mixing. So down to the mixing. It was, how did we mix it? Well, it was first time we, and excuse me, first time. Yes, it was the first time any of us had mixed to this sort of to a BBC requirement, which is well, it's just 10D. You've just got a new threshold to focus to, instead of just below 0 dBFS. It's now -10. So we going off the standards, we were looking to peak at 6, average around 4. So how do we go about the mix? The mix was really gone about by, we've got 2 separate parts. Let's call them the electric half and the rock half. We generally just focused on mixing them individually without the dialogue. So we mixed each half, so we'll balance the levels out, and then really then just sort of set the dialogue so it was peaking around 5ish, and then started bringing up the volumes of the volume of each section of music around it, and then beginning to raise the levels to peak no more than 6 around that, and adjust things accordingly, using compression to little things, if there's sort of the snare or something such as that, using compression and other such things to raise the RMS level if we wanted to get an increase in volume but not go over the 6 dB anymore. So yeah, it seems pretty simple. I think we went about it a really simplistic way. Whether that's correct, I couldn't find any examples of people mixing to BBC standards. So, like demonstrations, it would have been interesting to see a demonstration of some sort, and one I'll probably look for in the future would be quite good to learn a bit more on. So the final mix averages around 4 ppm on the ppm meter, and peaks just under 6. It doesn't breach 6. Also, actually, the few issues that occurred during the mixing are the stereo phase. So it talks about, in section of the BBC Tech Doc 3.1.3, the stereo phase. Stereo program audio must be capable of mixed down to mono without causing any notable phase cancellation. In the initial mix, the rock half of the track, we had a double track guitar, pan left and right, and then when we used the gain utility with the mono compatibility function, not mono compatibility, but the mono option on the stereo out, on the main stereo out, when it was engaged, it totally just lost the guitar. Sounded really weedy. So you could hear the phasing issues in it, and in the end, and with the levels, it totally dropped. So yeah, that was a bit. So we had to change. So that was the main thing that had to change. We had to get just drop one of the guitars out completely and pan the other one, pan the one we used central, and focus on that. So we could have a good stereo image. Not a good stereo image. That's probably wrong wording. So then once that was complete, it was bounced from Logic as a .mov, which is from the brief. What's required of the brief. It's probably not the right file. Well, it isn't the right format for the BBC to be delivered, but that's not a concern. There's page 22. So the audio is still in accordance, though. In the tech doc it states audio sampling frequency is at 48 kilohertz, which it is. The audio bit depth is 24, which it is, and the audio codec parameters is a PCM, which again it is. So yeah, a bit of critical analysis on the whole thing, on the whole mix of the BBC mix. The electric half's good. I think sounds pretty clear. I think because all the instrumentation's relatively clean and I can't think of the words, but yeah, it's quite clean, and the dialogue sits quite nicely on top of it. But then the rock half of it, I think, because you've got a lot more probably mid frequencies in there, middle frequencies in there, mid range frequencies in there, should I say, instead of mid. Yeah, the dialogue, it fights with the dialogue quite a bit, and so the levels had to be dropped of that, and yeah, so the dialogue can seem to get the clarity of it can be lost, seems to get lost sometimes a little bit. I might be being a bit over judgmental, but yeah, I think the electric half's good, rock half's bad. I think if we'd have just focused on the electric half and created that as the whole piece instead of this divide in the middle, and then made it a more interesting composition, focusing on that, then I think we would have had an overall like a real good piece. But I think it lacks a little bit because we've got that divide, and the guitar, the rock half's a little bit messy. So yeah, I think that'll do. Right, so for the flash mix, what I did first was to take the final bounce down from the dot mod that was created for the BBC mix and convert it to a flash file, flash format, video format, using a video converter called Video Converter. Uploaded it to YouTube, and then just did an A/B with other things of the same nature, such as like the educational establishment sort of advertisement type things, and then music videos as well, just to get a general overview of it. And it was significantly lower. So I've routed the output of the main main Mac output through Soundflower bed into Logic, so then you could get a level reading of it, and they seem to be, everything that was on there, especially the music, was the levels were sort of that typical peaking at 0 and averaging around -10. Well, that was for music anyway. It's a lot lower for, well, not a lot lower, but lower for the advertisements. So it was just a case of raising the levels really on the BBC, and the mix that we did with the BBC, raising the levels for it, so it would be louder for the flash files really. So there wasn't really a lot more to that. That's them.